Hey guys, how's it going? I was going to say happy Friday again, but that was my live stream that just ended. It is now officially Saturday. I was getting ready to go to bed, and I told you there'd probably be some type of breaking news with the HPA and Short Act in regards to the budget reconciliation bill in the middle of the night. Well, I thought it might have been more like tomorrow night, something like that. But no, just moments after me ending my live stream, my regular Friday live stream on YouTube, we do have changes, and I want to get these out to all of you as soon as possible. So I thought I'd do it in live stream format because I need to get to bed for work tomorrow and don't have time to go through and edit and upload a regular video. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Glad to have you here. Check out my channel where less than 24 hours ago, I reported at like 5:30 a.m. that the Senate parliamentarian had ruled, if you will, against the NFA repeal, meaning the potential removal of suppressors, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, AOWs. And there was several scenarios, and one of them I literally predicted just an hour or two ago here. And this is what happened. This is just breaking after midnight on technically Saturday, the 28th of June. And this is from GOA. At Senate GOP revised H.R. 1 to reduce the NFA making and transfer tax to $0 for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. After an NFA tax repeal, this is the next best, quote, win for gun owners unless the parliamentarian is overruled or fired. All right. So I thank GOA for reporting the news. I'm going to respectfully disagree, actually. I do not think this is a next best win, and I don't think this is really a win at all. And I'm going to tell you why, because it opens the door for something very sinister in the future, and it also closes any doors that we would have to repeal later. I'll get into that in just 1 second. So as of right now, this is the latest breaking news. This is of the big, long bill that's hundreds and hundreds of pages long. Section 70436, reduction of transfer and manufacturing taxes for certain devices. Transfer tax, Section 511A is amended to read as follows. Rate, there shall be levied, collected, and paid on firearms transferred a tax at the rate of 1. $200 for each firearm transferred in the case of a machine gun or destructive device, and $0 for any firearm transfer which is not described in paragraph 1. Then it goes down to the making tax. Section 5821A is amended to read as follows. A, rate, there shall be levied, collected, and paid upon the making of a firearm at a tax rate of 1, $200 for each firearm made in the case of a machine gun or destructive device. Section 2, $0 for any firearm made which is not described in paragraph 1. All right. That's reading from their X. Make sure you're following 2AEDU on X, where I'm posting all kinds of stuff, including some of the cool stuff that I talked about in the previous live stream that we literally just ended. So, look, this is why I say it's not a win. And friends of mine are going to respectfully disagree. That's okay. You're watching this channel because maybe you want my opinion or you want to disagree with me or whatever. But here's the deal. First of all, the whole argument against all of this whole process has been this is an unconstitutional tax. Okay? The budget reconciliation process, where you can get this passed on that narrow 51 vote threshold rather than needing to beat the filibuster in the Senate and get 60 votes, means it has to do with finances. It has to do with money, dollar signs, and it has to do with taxes. So long as there's a $200 tax stamp, by sheer definition, that means that it is a tax. And there would be budgetary reasons to just get rid of all of it, the whole NFA, because as the Supreme Court said just 3 years after the NFA passed, they said it could stand because it was a tax. Now, I disagree with all of this. This should have never been allowed to stand whatsoever. However, it's called using their perceived strength as their weakness. The reason they've said this has been allowed to stand for 91 years was because it was a tax, not technically gun control. Like, you can still buy the items, they're just taxed. Look, I don't buy that for a minute, but that's been their argument. Now, if they reduce the tax to zero, first of all, here, I'll tell you the door it's going to close first. And then next, I'm going to tell you the door it's going to open, which is even more sinister. It could actually be really crazy, and I don't think anyone's talking about this, but I am, even though it won't be popular. How could we come back later, which this is going to be, the odds of this are very slim, but how could we come back later and say we need to repeal the NFA during another budget reconciliation process where maybe there's not a completely insane parliamentarian that says a tax stamp's not a tax? Look, I talked all about that in my last live stream. I'm not going to get into it again. I was very blunt on my feelings towards her and how it's insane that here in America, we're still answering to Parliament. Okay. But how could we ever come back and argue again that we could repeal the NFA through budget reconciliation if there's no tax? Look, it's never been about the tax. It's not about the tax now. Maybe in 1934 it was to a point, because $200 was a heck of a lot of money. It was thousands and thousands of dollars if you account for inflation in today's dollar back then. But now in this day and age, look, I don't want to throw away $200. I know most of you don't. But don't be so easily bought off of your principles, because the real devil is the registration. Registration, registration, registration. If this gets just reduced to a $0 tax, you still have to register it, letting the government know where the items they want you to have the least, knowing where all of them are at. Registration has always in the past, and I believe therefore always will in the future, eventually lead to confiscation. Having to get permission slips for some of these items across state lines, making it where you could instantly become criminalized if you just loan it to a friend. Maybe your wife's at home and has access to it while you're at work, but the stamp's not in her name. See, there's all of these traps, all these ways you can be criminalized, making it harder to pass on to your heirs later on, harder to sell and transfer your lawfully owned property, all of these things. These will all still be part of it if it's subject to the NFA. And don't forget, there is a provision in the tax code, which, this just keeps burning me up, guys, that the parliamentarian said this is not germane because it has nothing to do with taxes. No, like, look, all of the provisions of the NFA are found in tax code that actually makes them law. You know what I'm saying? But look, they can come to your house and inspect these items. Now, I know frequently they say, well, for your convenience, if they want to see it, you can come to the nearest ATF office. That's generally been the case, but not always. And don't forget, at any time, if they want to, they can start making house calls just to come see these items. People don't like to talk about that, but it's true. And I've shown the receipts of it, meaning in the literal codes on this channel in the past. So that's the door we're going to close. How are we ever going to get rid of this dang thing through budget reconciliation if there's no tax anymore? All of our arguments end up becoming a moot point. All the good arguments we've made, right? Now, here's the door that it opens, and this is scary and this is sinister. Because, look, let me back up. We still need to be getting a hold of J.D. Vance, okay? Shout out to J.D. Vance and try to talk him into coming in as the president of the Senate and firing or overruling this parliamentarian. That's still the win we want, and that's the only win we want. In my opinion, I'm going to respectfully disagree with probably much of the community on here, and as much as I like them and many people there are my friends, I have to disagree with the GOA here. This is not a second best win. This is not just a little bit of a win. I would look at this as a loss, or at the very least, no victory at all. I'm just telling you my honest opinion one more time, because here's the door it's going to open. Think about this. The Republicans have a trifecta right now. Okay. They might be able to get this budget reconciliation bill passed if this passes the parliamentarian. Now, this notwithstanding, I have good reason to believe, just knowing how this operates, I think the parliamentarian's even going to reject this. I think she's even going to reject this. And in this case, I hope she does reject this. And we need to just stand up. We need to talk to these people like Thune. And if he can't be talked into it because he's too much of a FUD, hopefully J.D. Vance can come in and fire her or overrule her right now. All right? So that's still what we need to do. is get this parliamentarian out of her job. She's fired, whatever it takes. Overrule her if that's what it takes, because that can be done. Thune can do it. J.D. Vance can do it, and they need to. But here's the door it opens. What about when the Democrats have the trifecta? And I didn't say if, I said when. Dude, Republicans are going to lose really bad when this whole Hearing Protection Act and Short Act fall apart. Most people in the gun and 2A community are going to stop voting at all, in my opinion. Look, I'm not encouraging you not to. I'm just telling you what's probably going to happen. It's going to sweep the Democrat control. And let's just say 4 years from now, it's all Democrats in there. Well, now the door's been open and precedent has been set. By a simple majority, you can alter the NFA tax. Keep in mind with this so-called win that's going on right now. Yeah, right. With this win that's going on to take it down to zero tax, what that would set in stone is this. While they would still stay on the NFA under these revisions, and this is the breaking news I'm bringing to you right now, they would still stay in the NFA. And don't forget that, all the evilness and draconian aspects of it. But now it's been set where you can modify that tax rate. Many people say in 1934 they forgot to account for inflation. And many have said we're lucky, and I'm using air quotes, that they forgot about that, because if not, they'd be like $5,000 a tax stamp now. Now, I don't think we're lucky to have any of this. We'd be lucky if we just went by the simple shall not be infringed. And not even really lucky. That's what we're entitled to. That's literally our rights endowed by our Creator. That's what this is all about. What's not to say in 4 years or 8 years that they come back and say, well, pursuant to the fact that the Republicans modified the tax rate in 2025, now we're going to come in and simply modify the tax rate too. You pick a number. Do you think they modify it back up to 200 again? Because keep in mind, you can now modify. This would open the door to that. Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as they often say in politics. Would they modify it to 200 later? Would they modify it to $1 later? Probably not. Would they modify it to $1,000? Maybe. What about $5,000? What about $10,000? Because you see, you can't have it both ways. If you're able through budget reconciliation to keep them on the NFA and modify the tax from 200 down to zero, and if that is considered acceptable, even though I think the parliamentarian will shoot this down anyways, but if she doesn't, if you can modify it, now that means you're going to be able to modify it again. Well, you can't modify it below zero, and I don't know how you'd ever get rid of these items from the NFA if the tax is down to zero, because then you really couldn't make any arguments it's for budget at all, because look, it's $0, but you could add to it. You guys get what I'm saying, right? You can't take it from $0 and modify it and subtract money. I mean, I suppose you could, but that's preposterous. It would never happen. It won't be where, oh, we're going to modify it later where we'll pay you $200 to get a tax stamp. No. So what that opens the door for is they can make a tax stamp in the future $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. If they really wanted to stick it to us and just ban all NFA items, make it a de facto ban without actually banning them, because the Supreme Court has said in the past, it would have been gun control if you banned them, but since it's a tax, they can't be banned. I don't agree with that, but that's what the SCOTUS said in 1937. All right. What's not to say they don't come in the future and say $100,000 tax? And then their argument would be, oh, well, it's not banned. We didn't ban anything, just $100,000 tax. Now, that might be a bit much, but I could easily see them making it a $5,000 tax. So that's the deal. Now, why would the Republicans, unless, of course, they're just two wings of the same bird or two sides of the same coin, why would they acquiesce and start simping for this parliamentarian? That's what they're basically looking like right now. They're looking like a bunch of simps groveling at this lady's feet. Why would they come in and say, oh, okay, we'll modify it down to where it's not even a win at all anymore to try to get it through? No. What they need to do, in my opinion, because you have to stand for something. Look, if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. Isn't that right? They need to come back and be like, no, We're not going to modify and acquiesce and water this down and keep all these items on the NFA and just bring the tax down to zero. No, we're going to keep it just like it was. And we're going to add in Section 3 to the Hearing Protection Act. And by the way, it doesn't matter because the parliamentarians overruled. That's what they need to do. So this is not over yet. In conclusion, I do believe there's still a good chance that the parliamentarians going to yet again overrule this, even this, because this is just how this works. You can't just keep conceding and acquiescing to the other side. They don't work like that. However, there is a chance that she will now accept it this way. And this is being reported by some people. Look, I think as far as I know, there might be other people reporting on this. I just ended my live stream, saw this, and then I decided to report it. I don't know if anyone else has reported on it yet or not, but I just have a feeling GOA did say this would be considered the second best win. I disagree. I just do. I'm a GOA member. I like them, okay? But I'm going to disagree. Just because I like you doesn't mean I agree with you when I think you're wrong. No, not a win. So that's my take, whether it's popular or unpopular. Now, the GOA is saying, and I agree with them on this, that we do need to have the parliamentarian overruled or fired. And they have been saying that J.D. Vance is probably the best route for that because Thune's just slow walking it. But then I saw again where they said maybe John Thune's the best one. Look, these people are all going back and forth. Thune's pretty establishment. He's made it on the public record statements very recently as yesterday, saying he ain't going to overrule the parliamentarian. All right. We don't know what J.D. Vance's stance on this is because he hasn't made a statement one way or the other. But don't forget, while John Thune is the Senate majority leader and he has the ability to fire or overrule this parliamentarian, J.D. Vance is the president of the Senate. He can take the gavel. He can physically preside if he wants. And vice presidents have done that before. Vice President Rockefeller overruled the parliamentarian in 1975. At that time, Senate Majority Leader Trent Lott fired a parliamentarian. Hasn't happened in a long time. It has happened. So that's still the path that I want to see. That's the only path to victory. As far as I can tell, I do not believe that this just taking the tax down to zero while all other provisions apply. I do not believe that this is a victory. I'm going to say that one more time. I think it helps close the door to ever completely repealing it again. And I think it certainly opens the door to being able to have future Congress that's controlled by Democrats, and the way things work, it probably will be next time. And I hope not. Just because I say things are probably going to be doesn't mean that I hope they are. I'm just telling you the truth that it'll probably be this way. I think they'll probably come in the future and raise the tax stamp. I don't think they'll just bring it back up to $200. They'll probably raise the crap out of it, more than you could ever even imagine. I mean, why wouldn't they do that? Of course they would. The other side actually does things. So, I don't know. Well, for those of you watching on replay, shout out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the update. I will post more stuff on my X because I am going to be working all day tomorrow if it comes up. So make sure you follow me over there. Plus that really cool RPK we were talking about and that shotgun I told you guys that I want soon. I just posted info for those up on X as well if you want to check them out. So for those of you watching on replay, take it easy. I'm just going to say hi real quick to the people that are in the chat before I jump off because I have streamed over 2 hours tonight already. And this happened much sooner than I thought. If you're just joining, awesome. Just go back and rewind at the beginning. And I got right to the point and told you guys what's going on. Lucky Dog 350X says, I'm still up too, brother. Well, man, I still got to go load my truck and stuff. So hopefully you get a good night's sleep. What's up, Vince? How you doing, man? Ooh, this has Cornyn writing all over it. Yeah, with the so-called Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. This does remind me of Cornyn, actually. Scrap vendor. Guess I'm gonna pen and weld my AK-101K project. Dude, I don't know, man, what to do, guys. No legal advice here. Just reporting facts to you, and then where my opinion comes in, just giving you my opinion. Some people are already telling me in the last stream my opinions were too powerful against these Republicans. Hey, man. You know, been gotten lots of thumbs downs tonight. You know, losing some subscribers. I mean, whatever, man. They'll be back because I still think they like the channel, but this is not popular, what I'm saying right now. But it's my opinion. Hopefully you guys can respect that I'm being truthful with my opinion. I do not see this as a win at all. And no, I won't be going out to rush to buy NFA items for a $0 tax stamp. I reject the registry. I reject all of it that goes along with it. And if you guys do rush out too, hey, do what's best for you, man. I mean, do what you do. I'm just saying, I'm talking about me right now. Let's see here. Karar Hussein says, no win for us. GOA act like NRA. Look, I'm not going to call the GOA the NRA. If you want to, hey, that's cool, man. Whatever. I still told you guys, I do like the GOA. I know some people there. I don't agree with them. This is just me reading what they posted on their X just a little bit ago. It says, after an NFA tax repeal, this is the next best win for gun owners unless the parliamentarian is overruled or fired. I mean, I don't know, man. I disagree. I don't see like the next best thing is a win. It's either in this, you kind of like win or you don't win, really. That's where I'm at. Spineless senators, I agree. Hey, we'll see, man. Here's the thing. You know what this tells me? They could have had another 24 hours for these senators to grow a pair and either fire or overrule the parliamentarian. I'm guessing they're not gonna, because they came back real quick and modified this down to where it just removes the tax, but keeps the stuff on the NFA. Do you know how your local shops would look? You just see MP5s on the wall. The little pin gun, you'd be able to just buy that at FFLs if this is repealed. This is the thing people aren't thinking about either. Tax stamp products, whether they're AOWs or short-barreled stuff, rifles, shotguns, it's kind of a niche thing. I know a lot of you guys own them and they're kind of popular. Don't get me wrong, but not nearly as popular as regular GCA firearms or Title I firearms. You don't see none of this stuff in stores. A lot of these guns out there, like something that's disguised as something else, but it doesn't look like a gun enough. That's an AOW. Dude, these people don't even make them because they sell so few copies. It's just not worth it. We would see so much new cool innovation come out. That's the other thing people keep forgetting. By these staying on the NFA, you still have to go through all the draconian process. Yes, the tax stamp may be free, but it's still not going to be anything like what it would be to repeal it. Not even close. But if this actually gets repealed, which it must get, that's what we need to have a true win. Dude, the whole face of the market, it's just going to change overnight. You're going to see so much cool stuff. Stuff now that comes in as, quote, pistols will be the short-barreled rifle that it was intended to be, and it's just going to change everything. You'll probably see cane guns again if that's what you're into, and pen guns, and you guys know what I'm saying, right? Don't forget about that. Let's see here. MUR9HY23. Thanks for what you do too, Edu. Appreciate you keeping us in the loop. Well, you're welcome, man. And I appreciate the encouragement. Dude, I've been like running around like an absolute 2A purist like my whole channel. And I don't know why people are shocked, but I've been getting a hard time from some of the community the last 2 days. Being like, lighten up, dude. It's still a win if this. I'm like, no, dude, I just don't agree. It was never about money. It was about registration. Yeah. Segrafix, what's happening? Says, I agree. This is not a win. The $200 amount is almost meaningless today. It's the principle and the act of having to apply for a constitutional right. There you go. I completely agree. John Crump News says, just finished a live stream too. What's happening, Crump? How you doing, man? Yeah, I didn't even know you did, because it's like I literally like just got done with my live stream after working so hard in the heat today. I was about to pass out, got something to drink, went up in my front shop and got some food, and was just getting ready to call it a night. And for some reason, I was drawn to go to X and see if there was any updates, and there was. So I thought I'd jump on here. DLD After Dark, what's happening, man? He says, yeah, definitely not happy with this. Reducing the tax to zero still keeps the biggest issue as part of it, which is government overreach. I agree. And you must have been on the same thing as me, because I didn't read this till just now. He says, and what would stop them from increasing the tax cost later? Yes, that's something I got into tonight. Could the tax stamp be $10,000 later through reconciliation? Probably. Especially if this Democrat parliamentarian stays in. Look, guys, vote your conscience. You still have a while to decide, but I bet you a lot of people are never going to vote for the GOA again if they compromise. Let's see here. Dan, it's hard to pronounce a lot of your names. It's not a win. No one cares about the taxes, the registry that needs to be removed. I agree. V. Metzger, I'd prefer to keep the crappy $200 tax and get rid of the mugshot, registration, multiple sets of fingerprints, and notification of local law enforcement. Don't forget, you get to notify everybody that can come and confiscate your guns later. That's part of it. All right? And yeah, and I know you don't want to pay the $200 either. You're just saying if you had one or the other, you'd rather pay the $200 and not the rest. I don't know how this could be perceived as a win, that you'll pay $0 and still end up with all the crap. Yep, the problem is the registration, which is the government overreach. This is not a win. I'm hoping we can move past this. It's absurd. Why is GOA saying it's a win? As a member, I have the right to ask them that, and I am going to respond to their tweet. And look, a lot of these guys are my friends. That's fine. You shouldn't be afraid to tell your friends when you think they're wrong. Why is GOA saying this is a win? If anyone from GOA wants to reach out to me, please do. Because I literally want to know, how is this considered a win? Are there any gun rights groups out there right now saying this is not a win? I don't know. I know I just got done hearing something earlier where GOA and the American Suppressor Association and like 5 other gun rights groups were really writing a letter, really putting the pressure on. And look, I want to report fairly on this. GOA is still saying the best choice is to get the parliamentarian overruled or fired or whatever. All right. Overruled is, I think, what they're asking for, and I am too. It's what I want to see. But I just can't agree with a gun rights group that's no compromise. The only no compromise gun lobby. How is the think about this. How is the only no compromise gun lobby group? I know this is harsh, guys. I'm hoping we can still be friends, whoever's watching that works there. But just explain it to a regular person like me. Okay? That doesn't have a bunch of money involved in all this. That doesn't have money pouring through. I lose money when I do this. How can the only no compromise gun lobby say that it's still somewhat of a win to have the most epic failed compromise in my whole lifetime? I sincerely mean this. It was not a hyperbolic question. I would love it if someone could actually explain that to me in a somewhat believable way. This is a Trump's deal. I agree. DLD says absolutely 2A EDU. This is nowhere near a win. I just got a lot more unpopular. A lot of people are going to look at it that I just called out the GOA. I don't know. No, I'm just asking them a question. It's a very fair question to ask, I believe. If you're no compromise, you're no compromise. Once you compromise, you ain't no compromise. Maybe they misspoke. Maybe I'm not smart enough to understand. I'm leaving room right now for me to understand this later. You're welcome, V. Metzger. Thanks, man. What's up, G23 Reviews? Wait, he was reading my mind, too. I didn't read none of this till just now. He said, I thought the GOA was zero compromise. I did, too. I just asked a tough question, guys. I did. Just asked a tough question. I'm not still going. I saw you in my live stream earlier. I came back because I had an update for you. What's up, B Maxie? How you doing? Prepared 4151. Let me read the chat real quick here. Maybe someone can come right in and answer this for me where it'll make sense. Dude, I hope JD Vance, Val Salttube can do something about this. I'm not going to bet that he is, but I'm hoping he will. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it makes no sense. There'll be a blue wave in 2026. Democrats will increase the tax. Okay, a lot of you do actually agree with me on that. That's the first two things that popped in my head literally instantly. By reducing it to zero, it gets rid of a lot of our arguments to inevitably repeal it. It could create a conundrum in theory, though, that they said the only reason it was allowed to exist at all is because it was a tax. But the devil's in the details, see? It's very specifically worded. It's a $0 tax. See, if you remove the tax, I know this is weird, but this is how it works. If you remove the tax, it removes the items from the NFA. But technically, reducing the tax down to zero is legally not the same as removing the tax. Therefore, it does not remove them from the NFA. However, it opens the door, and it inevitably will happen. I truly believe this. And I hate that I'm right on this crap, but I know what's going to happen. They will later, through budget reconciliation, increase that tax stamp. Taryn Marine, what's happening, man? Says registration, return stolen firearms to rightful owners ever? Dude, statistically, never. Okay, never. Okay, what's this? NAGR called it compromise. Okay, thank you. I was asking those questions in all earnest. I want to know, like, who's who. I need to know who's who. I'm saying this is not a win. And I need to know who's compromise and who's no compromise. Now, I should cite my sources just to be fair. I want to do this before I get off, guys. All right. I need to show this because I'm not making allegations on people right now. I'm just telling you my opinion, and I have the receipts. 1 hour ago, Gun Owners of America, this is their official gold mark Twitter. Breaking at Senate GOP revised H.R. 1 to reduce the NFA, making and transfer tax to $0 for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. After an NFA tax repeal, so that we're on the same page so far, the tax repeal is what we want. This is the next best, quote, win for gun owners, unless the parliamentarian is overruled or fired. So they do want the parliamentarian primarily overruled or fired. I agree. But I just saw a compromise there. Oh, I hate to see this. Wow. You know, when you're a kid, you have fairy tales of, oh gosh, I look up to this hero. And I guess as the saying goes, you don't really ever want to meet your heroes in real life, or they might let you down. Dude, I'm having kind of this little kid moment right now, like when I first found out about Santa Claus. Ooh. This is setting in real time, guys. You guys are getting my raw reactions. I've been a big fan of the GOA for a long time, see? And I know their slogan. I know it well. The only no compromise gun lobby. But you guys, tell me where I'm wrong here. Because if I'm reading this wrong, I need you guys to tell me the truth. Please tell me right now if I am. But I'm reading this again. After an NFA tax repeal, this is the next best, quote, win for gun owners, unless the parliamentarian is overruled or fired. Time for bird bath round 2. Ooh, I'm disappointed now. All right, I'm going to sleep on this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm just, oh, man. I just found out Santa Claus isn't real. Can you believe that? This kind of sucks. Well, I get it, guys. Nobody really wants to touch this with a 10-foot pole, what I'm talking about right now. It is tough. I don't like this is on here, but I had to show it to you because I'm basically like sitting here right now like, Here's the problem, guys. I had to show you this tweet because this is my source, right? Like, I'm not just gonna tell you some little birdie told me, or I'm pulling this out of my you know what. No, I went on and checked the GOA's Twitter page. Why did I go check their page first? Because they're the group I respect the most, and I still, I'm not gonna say anything bad about them. I'm just not sure, but I think I might see compromise here. Maybe not. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I'm being serious. Yeah. You're welcome, Taryn Marine. Yeah, I mean, wait a minute. FPC has a motto on X. No. Oh, interesting. Well, I'll have to look into that. I don't know what to think right now, really. I should probably end this stream or end this channel while I'm still ahead. I get it, guys. I've been doing this a long time now. My takes on this are probably extremely unpopular. But hey, at least we can say we were honest on this channel. Hopefully that's worth something. I know it is to some of you. SG6970. No, you're right. Not a win. Our only chance right now is VP Vance. Yeah, we worked so hard for this. Somehow I feel pretty low right now. I do too. Dude, this will make me just that much happier if that parliamentarian can get overruled. Overruled, fired, whatever it takes. Trent Lott fired the last one in 2001. VP Rockefeller. That's billionaire royalty. Rockefeller. Think about it for a minute. VP Rockefeller overruled parliamentarian 1975. All right, hold on a minute. And I was being serious. I did want an explanation where I could understand. It says, I think the GOA is trying to give us something versus nothing. But really, this is a nothing of substance from our 2A lovers. No, you're probably right. You're probably right. I think, yeah, probably the GOA is looking at this as some type of win. I do respectfully disagree. Not a win at all. Because here's the problem in life, guys, and we've gotten this way in society. Everything doesn't have to be, this is a win, this is the next best win, this is the no, you're allowed to just have, this is a win, this is a loss. Sometimes it's just the way it works. Because in a country where the supreme law of the land says shall not be infringed, it's either it shall not, and that's a win, or it be infringed, and that's a loss. If it be infringed, you lose. If it shall not, then you would win. There is no, well, it's only infringed a little bit. Or it's infringed a lot, but a teeny bit less. That's more like how this would be. It's still infringed a hell of a lot, but it's infringed just a teeny bit less, so we'll call it a win. No, it's still a loss. If you lose 99%, it's a loss. Now, is it slightly less worse than losing 100%? Of course. But I would just at the very most, and this is me being very charitable, I would only deem that as a slightly less worse loss. Just because it's a slightly less worse loss does not elevate it into a sort of a win or a second best win. I don't know. They'll probably take that tweet down the more I keep thinking about it. Maybe not. Steel Runner, overrule. This is not a win. This is a watered down load of crap. Hell, I'd rather pay $2 and not have it in the registry than vice versa. I don't trust that crap. Dude, that's what our friend Vince just said a minute ago. So a lot of you guys are on the same page, actually. Gee, shows you how good I am at predicting stuff lately, even though I've predicted all this crap like 100% over the last month. I thought you guys were all going to be mad at me. But it seems like most of you guys are saying this isn't a win at all. Oh, wait. So I'm reading this wrong. Martin Edgar says what I saw on Twitter. GOA says this is not a win. Okay, good. I read it wrong then. This must have been me not reading. Here, let's just go over this real quick. Because, okay, GOA says this is not a win. Okay, good. Because I told you guys right off the rip, like, I really like GOA. So let's look at this again just to make sure. Boy, I'm glad I'm wrong on this. Let me go check to prove. Okay. Breaking. Senate GOP revised H.R. 1. Can you guys see this on your screen? To reduce the NFA making and transfer tax to $0 for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. After an NFA tax repeal, comma, this is the next best, quote, win, end quote, for gun owners unless the parliamentarian is overruled or fired. Okay, that's 2 hours ago. Okay, I did read that right. Let me keep looking up here. Did they come back later and say, never mind, like this is not actually a win? Let me see what's on here. All right, let me refresh. I just want to make sure. I'm trying to be super fair here. Okay, so their top pinned ones from 5 hours ago. The NFA is the only excise tax repeal that's ever been struck under the Byrd rule. Okay, the ruling sets an anti-Second Amendment precedent. That was 5 hours ago. 1 hour ago, GOA will never stop fighting until the NFA is completely repealed. And I do thank them for that fight. That's awesome. Keep calling for Queen Elizabeth McDonough. Yep, Queen. The unelected Senate parliamentarian to be fired or overruled. Okay, good. And then they put the phone number. That's what they're pushing for. That's what I want. And then the very next one, yeah, that's the one I just read. After an NFA tax repeal, comma, this is the next best, quote, win. So I don't know, man. I'll have to look at this stuff later. I mean, thanks for bringing it to my attention. I was hoping maybe I just read that wrong 5 or 6 times. Okay, mixed messages. I got you, Martin. Yeah, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. I mean, I'm just reading what it says, and it's like, okay. All right. $200 nothing burger. I know. Representative Hawley. Yeah, even he's cooking up. Yeah, I know. Kind of saw the same thing. All right, guys. I've streamed quite a bit. This stream's gone 43 minutes. Hopefully you guys saw what I put on my screen. I wouldn't want to make anything up. And I do want to clarify one more time. I'm not trying to start beef with the GOA. I'm really not. I'm actually being very sincere. If you see kind of that melancholy look on my face, this is how this works for me. Look, good, honest, and sincere people can sometimes just make a mistake. When you have a big organization where there's a bunch of people that might be typing, I don't know how this works. Who has access to the account? I have no clue. Maybe somebody typed something that's not representative of the rest of the organization. I don't know. I'm going to keep watching and waiting and seeing all these things. But as of right now, commenting on what the facts are that are available to me, because I can only call what I see, and I'm giving the GOA more benefit of the doubt than probably anybody is right now. Like, I'm literally giving them the most benefit of the doubt I can, but they said what they said, and they said what they said, and it's in black and white. They did call it the second best win, and I'm just going to say it one more time. I respectfully disagree, and I love a no compromise gun lobby. And I hope that's what they still are. Fair enough? And I hope that's what they still are. And I truly mean that. I promise you I do. That's why I've said so many times, I'm going to end with this. That's why I believe there's one good judge. I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. And I believe whereas pretty much almost every last person on this earth eventually can and will let you down, I don't believe Jesus is going to let me down, and I don't believe God's going to let me down. So that I am happy about, and I do rejoice. I do rejoice about that. But while we're stuck on this earth, pretty frustrating times right now, you know? And I hope we can still pull this off, and I hope this stuff can get repealed, and there is still a chance it can. And this is what I predicted in the last live stream that I did not want to see happen. I said they could very well come in there. They could very well come in there and say, well, $0 tax. The one that big silencer distribution company wanted and all that. Remember that? No. Here's the thing. In a bubble, okay, don't take me out of context here. In a bubble, whereas I hope she gets overruled on her first ruling and we bring in a better parliamentarian. That's what I want. But if it's just going to stay like it is, I hope she overrules this too. Overrule away. If I had her number, I'd call good old, what's her name again? Elizabeth McDonough. I'd say, Elizabeth McDonough, rule against this crap too. Because if we've gotten so weak that us, the 2A and gun community, are going to accept this compromise, I'm with you, parliamentarian. Blow it out of the water too. Only in that context, okay? So yeah, I hope this isn't accepted. And if the Senate and all these people have just given up on the first part, and I know GOA has not given up on that. They're still saying their number one thing is to get this overruled, okay? But if the Republicans in the Senate have given up on overruling it, and they're thinking the second best thing is to get in there and do this compromise, yeah, no, just shoot down the compromise too. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, I will talk to you all again soon. And thanks for watching. And have a good one. Well, thank you for that message, Steel Runner. God bless you too, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, James. God bless all of you. Hopefully we have good news soon.